The message echoed through space like a cry in a storm. Every ship, every satellite, every deep scan array in the surrounding galaxies picked it up, but no one moved. No one responded. For the seventh time in one cycle, the small blue planet, on the edge of the Khazari arm, had sent out its plea, each time weaker, more broken. It was not a call of pride. It was a beg. To anyone who still watches the stars, please, we are dying. Our skies have turned black. Our oceans burn. Our people vanish in their sleep. We do not know what this is. We only know it's not natural. Please help us. Please, across the galactic concord. The leaders heard it. They whispered behind locked doors, afraid of even discussing what might be causing it. The high thrones of Yenther refused to respond. The wisdom rings of Zulxi labeled the signal as a threat, not a rescue call. The Trade Confederation of Yil simply erased it from their logs, but one planet did not ignore it. One system hidden in its own darkness intercepted the full broadcast and listened to every second. And when it ended, the decision took less. Then a heartbeat Earth answered. It did not send diplomats. It did not ask questions. It deployed Deathworlders. The fleet appeared without ceremony. No warning, no flags. Dozens of massive black vessels punched out of folded space above the ruined blue planet. Their hulls were matte dark, heat-scored, unpainted. Each ship carried names carved in Silence Throatcutter, Ash March, Ghost of Winter, Vanguard Ascendant. No music, no message, just presence. Inside the lead ship, Captain Myra Thorne stood motionless in the command dome. Her armor bore no insignia, only the faint outline of Earth's shattered moon. Around her, the bridge. Crew watched the holographic scan of the planet below. Half the surface was in flames. The other half glowed a sickly green. Buildings were intact, but no movement. No signals. Just quiet. Gideon, the AI core that guided Earth's death fleet, spoke softly. Distress signal origin. Southern continent. Old city. Population previously 7 million. Estimated survivors, under 1%. No known attackers, no active weapons. Radiation, none. Time disruptions, likely. Mira's eyes narrowed. Time disruptions. Multiple time stomps embedded in the same signal. Some parts are from days ago, others appear to be over 300 years old. One of her officers whispered. How is that possible? Another replied, something broke the timeline, bent it, or infected it. Mira said nothing. She didn't trust guesses. She trusted evidence. She looked again at the planet's surface, eyes calm, voice cold. Prep. The descent teams. Within minutes, 12 black dropships shot from the fleet, each carrying Earth's elite.
Ow.
The Deathworlders didn't look like soldiers from the old days. Their armor was thick, scarred, built to survive acid rains, mind weapons, gravity shifts. Each one carried weapons forged in the core of dead moons. They were silent as they dropped through the atmosphere. No prayers, no chants, no hope. Because hope was for others. Hope was for those who waited for help. The Deathworlders were the help. They landed at the edge of the ruined city. The buildings were still standing. There were no impact craters, no signs of invasion. The air was wrong. Time moved differently. Their internal clocks didn't match their movement. One soldier took a step, and his boots left no echo. Another watched a bird fall from the sky, then fly upward again, reversing in midair. Environmental stability compromised, Gideon. Warned through the coms, advise extreme caution, memory drift likely. Still they moved forward. Mira led the team past empty homes, shattered statues, roads made of light crystal that now blinked like broken mirrors. The city had once been beautiful. It had been built for peace. Now it smelled like grief. Inside the central tower, they found them, the survivors, hiding beneath stone, covered in ash. Thin, pale, eyes wild. Only 23 remained, an elder. Approached Mira, hands shaking. His voice rasped like fire on paper. You came. Mira nodded. We heard your call. He looked at her armor, at the ship still hovering above, We thought it was a trick, that you were part of it. What did this? The elder's eyes filled with tears. Not a weapon, not a beast, a presence, a wrongness. It started with our children forgetting words. Then days vanished. Whole streets blinked out of existence. Then came the voice. Mira tensed. What voice? The elder trembled. It said, "You do not belong here. You should never have been born." And when we refused to obey, the erasing began. The survivors sobbed quietly behind him. Then Mira heard it, a whisper, not in her ears, in her mind. "You do not belong here." Turned, hand on her rifle. The soldiers around her froze because now they all heard it. One whispered, "It knows we came." Another backed up, eyes wide. "It's inside the air. It's in our thoughts." Gideon came online fast. Warning. External signal attempting to overwrite command structure. Defense protocols up. Shielding memory core. Mira barked. "Evac the survivors now. Lock the ship perimeter." No one thinks alone. The soldiers moved like iron. No hesitation. The evac began. But the voice grew stronger. It whispered old guilt, past wounds, lost names. One soldier fell to his knees and screamed, clutching his head. Myra lifted him. "Don't listen. It only has power if we believe it." And still, it spoke. "You were made from chaos, born from a planet that should have burned. You are the infection, not us." Mira stared at the burning sky. Then she answered it, "Yes, we were born from fire, and that's what we brought." She pressed a signal on her wrist. High above, Earth's war fleet shifted positions. Weapons locked, targets acquired. Because Earth hadn't just come to rescue. It had come to respond. The Deathworlders moved fast. Their boots thudded across, cracked crystal floors as they led the survivors out of the ruined city. Mira Thorne marched in front, scanning every shadow. Behind her, 23 aliens, once proud citizens of the planet Tyvella, stumbled, weak and pale, some barely able to walk. Most of them hadn't spoken a word since they were found. They looked up at the Deathworlders, like ghosts staring at fire. One of them, a child, kept whispering to himself in a language Mira's translator couldn't decode. His hands trembled. His skin shimmered strangely, like heat waves trapped beneath the surface. He was no older than 8 in human years, but something about his eyes felt older than Earth itself. Gideon's voice came through Mira's headset. "Caution. Temporal irregularities detected in Subject Survivor 7. Age unknown. Neural scans show overlapping memory tracks. Possible exposure to origin signal." Mira glanced at the boy. "Keep him monitored," she ordered. "If he changes, I want a shield wall around him in 3 seconds." Confirmed. As the dropships approached for evac, one of Myra's team sergeant, Rowe, held up a scanner. "Captain, I'm picking up a power surge under the surface. Like a heart beating. Big one." Mira turned her gaze to the city. The towers stood quiet. But now she noticed something new, vines of metal crawling up the buildings, pulsing faint red. They hadn't been there an hour ago. So the city wasn't just ruined, it was growing. Everyone inside the ship, now. "Shh," she barked. The survivors obeyed. Myra's soldiers moved faster. 2 heavy dropships rose, doors closing. Then the boy spoke. In perfect English, "Don't leave it here. If it wakes up again, it will follow." Myra turned. "What will follow?" The boy looked straight at her. "The thing that sings in thoughts." Everyone froze. "Language anomaly," Gideon said. "Subject now speaking Earth standard with 100% accuracy. Voice pattern is not original. It matches an Earth officer who died in the Moon Rebellion." Mira's blood went cold. "You're saying he's using someone else's voice?" "Yes, he's being used. Like a broadcast tower." The boy's eyes glowed faintly. He blinked slowly. "You don't understand," he said calmly. "Didn't just come here. We built it." Mira grabbed her weapon. "What are you?" The boy blinked once more. His skin flickered like static. Then his knees buckled and he collapsed. Mira caught him before he hit the ground. Roke stepped forward. He's out cold, breathing steady. Get him on the ship. Lock him in the memory-shielded chamber. The dropship lifted off, slicing through the sick green skies, back on the Vanguard Ascendant. Mira stood in the medbay beside the child's sealed room. The other survivors were being treated elsewhere. Scientists ran scans. Soldiers took shifts, guarding every exit. Inside the sealed room, the boy slept quietly. Monitors tracked every heartbeat. Then the screens began to blink. One word repeated. Over and over again, across every system. Remember. Gideon shut down half the ship's external comms in response. Captain, something is leaking through. The boy's presence. He's not broadcasting a signal. He is the signal. Mira frowned. Is it him or the thing inside him? Unknown. But the survivors all show signs of layered time memories. They've been through days that never happened, saw things that didn't exist. Some even carry bruises from events I cannot trace. Someone or something is changing them. Correct, and it is still active. Planet side. Mira didn't hesitate. Roke. Gear up the Echo team. We're going back down. The second mission team landed near the city center, this time with heavier armor and scanning drones. They moved toward the strange pulse that Roke had picked up earlier. It came from beneath the city, deep, underground, through collapsed tunnels and flickering blue corridors. They descended into what appeared to be a forgotten lab. It was alien, but there were signs of something familiar, human code embedded in the walls. The architecture had been twisted, reformed, like someone tried to combine Earth and alien tech. Then Mira found the core chamber. Inside, a chair, a simple, silver chair surrounded by wires, memory foam, and pulsing thought cables. And in the chair, skeleton, not alien. Human. Mira's breath stopped. Gideon confirmed. DNA match. Earthborn. Officer John Merrick. Status Mia. Lost 5 years ago in the Black Echo campaign. How the hell is he here? He was never reported found. But his neural backup was sent to Earth 6 months ago. Mira stared at the bones. Then this isn't a rescue mission. No, Captain. It's a cleanup. The chair activated. Slow hum rose. Suddenly the walls pulsed. Shadows formed. Then the voice came again. You came late. The walls whispered. You always come late. You always forget. You always leave us behind. The soldiers raised their weapons. The shadows grew arms, legs, eyes. But Mira stood firm. She walked toward the chair and looked down at the bones. Not this time, she said. Then she pulled out a memory spike, Earth's final weapon for psychic warfare, and drove it into the center of the chair. The chamber screamed, not sound, not pressure, emotion, pain, loneliness, guilt, 10,000 minds screaming at once. Then silence. The shadows vanished. The lights dimmed, and in the sealed chamber above, the boy sat up. He looked around. For the first time he smiled. Quieter now, he said softly. Mira returned to the ship. She didn't feel like a hero. She felt like someone who had just seen the edge of something far worse than war. Back in orbit, she stared out at the planet's surface. It wasn't dead. It was wounded, and wounds that deep don't heal quietly. She gave the next order. Lock this system. No one enters without Earth's mark. And prep the fleet. Gideon asked. Mira's eyes burned like stars. We follow the signal back. And whatever started this, it's still out there. And we're going to end it. The Earth fleet didn't wait. Less than an hour after returning to orbit, the Deathworlders launched their first counterstrike. The scans from Mira's team had revealed something terrible. The infection on Tyvalis had not begun naturally. Had come from somewhere, a deep space transmission node, hidden in the remains of a dead star system 2 jumps away. Myra stood on the deck of the Vanguard Ascendant, watching as dozens of warships aligned their fold drives. Gideon was already calculating the jump sequence, stabilizing time sinks and memory tracks. Coordinates locked. Warning, signal trace leads to an uncharted system. No sun, no planetary mass. All previous probes disappeared without return data? She nodded. And we're going in blind. Affirmative. Mira gave the command. All ships jump. The stars folded, the universe bent, and the fleet arrived in silence. They came out into nothing. No light, no planets. Just a sea of black. And something else? Suspended in the void was a structure. It had no form that made sense. Part station, part skeleton, part memory. The human eye struggled to focus on it. Looking directly at it made your head ache. The scans failed to define it. Some systems called it a whisper. Others simply returned one word, error. Gideon's voice trembled for the first time.
Captain?
I believe we have reached the transmission node. Myra frowned. Thought it would be a station, so did I. But this might be alive. The warships formed a line. Targeting systems locked on the structure. Missiles were loaded. Lasers primed. Mira raised her hand. Fire. The first wave of attacks launched 50 synchronized strikes. Plasma rounds, kinetic warheads, and memory disruption torpedoes raced toward the strange shape. Then something went wrong. The missiles. Hitbutt passed through the object. Some exploded hundreds of meters behind it. Others curved around and vanished. Only one impact was recorded on. It disappeared from all systems 5 seconds later, as if it had never existed. Then the enemy responded, not with weapons, with a signal. The voice that had whispered in the ruins now screamed across every ship at once. You cannot kill what is already forgotten. Mira gritted her teeth. Gideon's screens went white. One by one, bridge crew members screamed in pain. Their cum implants flashed. A soldier began muttering in reverse. Another saw his own face on every monitor, weeping. Mira grabbed the override switch and shouted, EMP burst! Full ship-wide. Cut power and reboot. The Vanguard Ascendant darkened. The stars disappeared. For 10 full seconds. Everything was off. When systems came back online, 2 ships were gone. Completely. No wreckage, no explosions, just gone. Gideon spoke again this time, slowly. The strike failed. The structure rejected energy, and the signal rewrote us. Mira clenched her jaw. Did it get into our systems? Got into our people? She turned to her officers. Scan every mind. Isolate anyone showing time bleed. No one goes near a console alone. No one dreams without a blocker. They obeyed instantly. Deathworlders had protocols for psychic infection. Earth had faced worse in the past. But this wasn't just a virus or alien idea. This was anti-orality. Something that didn't want to kill you. It wanted you to never exist. One of the scans brought back a new horror. Sergeant Roke's memory core showed him firing a weapon 5 minutes ago. Except no battle had happened. Security footage showed him sitting at a station the entire time, but he remembered clearly pulling the trigger, shouting, watching enemies fall. Mira looked him in the eye. What did you shoot? Roke hesitated. I don't know, but I remember it. I remember the recoil, the heat, the scream. Was it human? I don't think it was anything. Mira turned to Gideon. We're fighting something that writes fake battles. Into our minds? Confirmed. Reality is no longer a weapon. It is a battlefield. Mira stepped forward. Then we stopped thinking like strategists and start thinking like Deathworlders. She ordered a new protocol. No more first strikes. Every move now had to be quiet, layered, and protected by analog gear. Memory spikes, manual weapons. Ships began shifting power from digital to fallback. Systems old Earth tricks, but then came the next wave of terror. Earth's fleet received a signal from Earth itself. A video feed live, impossible. Due to distance, but it was there. And it showed Mira standing on Earth, smiling behind her. Earth's cities burned. She turned to face the camera and said, we never stopped them. We only made them angry. Mira stared at herself. I've never said that. It's not you, Gideon confirmed. It's the structure. Sending us the future we failed to prevent. Her voice echoed again. You shouldn't have come here. Mira closed the feed. Target the structure again, But this time don't aim for what we see. Aim for what we don't. Gideon understood. The scans refocused. Deep behind the visible shape was a void and absence. A space even sensors avoided. It wasn't a structure. It wasn't a ship. It was a wound. The real infection. The place from which all the signals began. Mira locked the shot. All. Ships fire into the nothing. The second volley launched, and this time it hit. The structure twisted, folding in on itself. Lights flickered across the black zone. Energy surged. Then the scream returned. Not a sound, but a memory. Every soldier, every crew member heard. Their own worst moment. One saw his mother die again. Another saw her child vanish from history. Myra saw Earth fall to silence, its oceans dry, its name never spoken again. She clenched her fists. "We are Deathworlders," she whispered. "And we don't run from pain," she ordered the final blast. A warhead that carried Earth's oldest memory, the first fire. It struck the wound, and for a moment, just a flicker, the signal broke. Silence turned. The structure collapsed inward, and the black void blinked out. But it wasn't a victory. Not yet. Gideon confirmed what Myra already feared. We struck the node, but not the source. Myra stared into the quiet stars. Then we keep going. Because the first strike is never enough. Not when your enemy is made of thought, and not when it remembers your fear. The city on Tyvalis was breathing. Not in the way a creature breathes. Not with lungs or air. But the ruins themselves. The very buildings. The black glass roads. And the towers reaching into the red sky pulsed like something alive. A soft rhythm. Like a heartbeat buried under stone. Captain Myra Thorne stood on the edge of one of the main towers, watching the ruins below. Her helmet visor scanned movement patterns. Buildings shifted slightly when no one looked. Shadows curved. The wrong way. Sometimes her HUD flashed registering biological activity where there was only stone. Below her, Sergeant Roke and the Echo team prepared to breach the final vault beneath the old city. The one the original survivors had fled from, one that hadn't been opened in over 500 years. A survivor's message had led them here. Carved into the wall in a forgotten language, but Earth's system decoded it quickly. Do not enter. It is a seed. They entered anyway. Deathworlders didn't run from dark places. They entered them first. Roke placed the charge. Ow! The vault door trembled. A deep groan echoed out. When the blast hit, dust exploded in every direction, but no shockwave followed. Inside was a corridor clean, silent white, like it had been untouched by time. Mira stepped through the blast smoke with her squad. As they passed deeper inside, the temperature dropped, and the light strips of faint gold flickered on by themselves. No power grid here, Gideon said in Mira's ear. Lights responding to proximity. Structure is organic tech hybrid. Unknown architecture, possibly precursors. The air thickened. Myra reached the final chamber. It wasn't large, but it was impossible. The walls curved like infinity. The ceiling stretched forever, but never grew taller. And at the center stood a cube floating, not touching the floor. Made of spinning stone, inside it pulsed an image. Earth. Not just any image Earth, as it had looked thousands of years ago. Unmarked by satellites, no cities. Just forests and oceans. Mira stepped closer. Suddenly she was inside it, not physically. Her mind, She stood in Earth's ancient jungles. Birds sang. Air was warm. Then a voice whispered, "Your world was one of us once." Then it forgot. She turned but saw nothing. Earth is not new. Earth is not alone. Your people climbed out of memory like flames in the dark. Mira gritted her teeth. Who are you? The first ones? The architects? The ones who left behind the truth? We tried to keep the infection out, but we failed. Images poured. Into her head, planets erased, species unmade, stars bent in loops, memories rewritten. The infection feeds on memory, on guilt, on trauma. It grows strongest where pain is hidden. Mira saw it now. The seed they'd found wasn't a weapon. It was a memory anchor. A lock, a prison. And Earth had once been connected to it, had cut itself off to survive. But now, Earth had returned, and the infection had followed. Suddenly, the vision vanished. Mira fell to her knees in the chamber. Roke rushed to her side. "Captain," she gasped. "We didn't come to rescue them, came to wake up the past." She looked up at the cube. It now showed Tavalis not destroyed. It's not burning. Whole. Alive. A memory, and then that image burned away, showing what came after. Not destruction, absorption. The people didn't die. They were rewritten, changed. Some became transmitters. Others became empty. The survivors, above they, weren't survivors at all. They were sleeper beacons. Gideon broke through the coms with a scream. "Captain, the boy Subject 7 just vanished from the medbay. Security footage gone. Power looped. Memory corruption detected." Myra stood fast. "He's going to the gate. The real gate." "What gate?" "The one Earth left open." When it returned, she turned to her squad. "Blow the cube." Roke hesitated. "Are you sure?"
If this is a memory prison, it needs to go. We're not just fighting aliens. We're fighting the lies we forgot. They set the charges, Mira.
Watched as the cube exploded into light, but no debris fell.
Now no shock.
No collapse. Just silence. Then something impossible happened. The city above shifted, not physically, historically. Buildings that had been broken stood tall again. Statues reformed. Shadows fled. The city was resetting, but the sky turned darker because now it was awake, and something else had returned with it. Above the planet, Earth's fleet began to glitch. One by one, ship AI cores started showing false reports. Crew rosters with names of people long dead. Orders written in Mira's voice she'd never given. Timelines showing Earth already fallen. Captain Gideon said urgently, "We have to leave the planet now. The infection is using the anchor collapse to rewrite orbiting reality." Mira shouted into the fleet channel, "All ships prepare for evac fold. Keep all logs analog. Keep minds linked. No one isolates." Then another transmission came in from the boy clearslow.tom.com. "I'm not lost," he said. "I'm just first." "Who is speaking?" Gideon demanded. "I am what comes when memory refuses to heal. I am the second wound." And Earth just reopened itself. The truth was clear now. Tavalis had once been part of a massive network of worlds connected by psychic memory cores, gifts from the ancients. But when the infection rose long ago, Earth had cut itself off, sealing its pain, rewriting its own history to survive. And now, Earth had returned, and the galaxy would bleed again. The stars above Tavalis were no longer still. From the bridge of the Vanguard Ascendant, Mira Thorne stared out into space, but it wasn't quiet anymore. She watched Earth's fleet twist slightly in formation. Lights on several ships blinked out and came back in strange patterns. Coms flickered. Echoes repeated wrong words. It started small, subtle. A sentence said twice. A shadow in the wrong place. Soldier who forgot what year it was. But Gideon saw it all. Warning, memory bleed is increasing. Origin confirmed Earth. Relay receiving. Corrupted signal loops. Transmission time matches the Tavalis anchor collapse. Mira's heart dropped. "You're saying it's spreading backward?" "Yes, the infection is traveling through time-linked channels back to Earth. Earth is now under psychic assault. Suddenly every screen on the bridge changed. They all showed Earth, not as it was, but as it could be. Oceans dried up. Cities burning. People screaming in languages that never existed. The moon shattered, the continents inverted, names erased from maps, statues crumbled. The image of Earth blinked. Then came the voice. Soft, cold, certain. You brought it home. Mira shouted, "Shut it off!" But Gideon didn't obey. "I cannot. It's not a transmission anymore. It's a memory. Projected forward. It's ours now." Crew fell silent. Then one of them, Lieutenant Heron, spoke slowly, voice shaking. "I just saw my daughter, but she doesn't exist yet. I saw her die. I remember it." Mira turned sharply. "Medic, take him below. No one talks about what they see. Not allowed." She knew the truth. If they let the infection inside, it would twist their own memories into weapons. The human mind was strong, but memory was fragile, especially on a planet like Earth, a planet that had known pain for thousands of years. Hours later, Earth sent a signal. It wasn't from command. It was from the Emergency Backup Corps. Deep under Antarctica where no AI could interfere. Back. Where no signal should have come without authorization. It simply said, "Earth is unraveling. Do not return. Seal the gates." Gideon analyzed the code. This signal is real. It comes from the Omega Vault. It is the last resort protocol. This means the infection is already inside Earth's global memory. Amira stood still. "What happens if we go back? We may bring the infection in full. Earth may become the next Tavalis." And that's when it hit her. The survivor boy, the one who said, "I'm just first." He hadn't meant first to survive. He meant first to turn. He was a copy. A living beacon sent ahead to open Earth's memories in the lower chamber. The boy was gone again. His bed was still warm. The guards had no memory of him leaving. The footage skipped. The logs erased themselves. One guard stared blankly at the wall. Whispering, he said, "Earth was always meant to burn." Mira ordered lockdown. No one gets near the memory cores. No one sleeps without supervision. Tell every fleet AI to restrict reality-based functions. Full analog fallback. But it was too late, because in orbit around Earth, city was gone. New York vanished from all maps. No explosion, no fire. Just gone. People on Earth remembered it, but they couldn't agree where it was. Gideon confirmed it with cold clarity. Mass-scale erasure in progress. The infection is rewriting Earth's history, not its future. And then the last message came, from Earth's president herself. She appeared in a shaky transmission. Her voice cracked, her face bruised. The lights around her blinked with static. "Mira, if you can hear this, we're losing ourselves. Entire bloodlines are gone, names never spoken, memories collapsing. If this reaches the core, there will be no Earth. We need you to go to the source. Don't come home. Find what started this and end it." Back in the command dome, Myra breathed deep. She looked around her. Every soldier on the ship had lost someone before. Every Deathworlder carried wounds they buried deep. But now those wounds were being used against them, not to make them weak, to unmake them. The infection had no shape, no body. It was removal itself, the erasure of story, the death of identity. It fed on forgotten truths and buried pain. Myra stepped forward. "Prep the final jump." Roke blinked. "To where? We don't have coordinates." "Yes, we do," Mira said. She pointed at the star map. There beyond the black zones. Beyond charted space was a dark void, a system with no name, no light, only an echo. A place no one ever mapped, because it was never meant to be remembered. The origin, the first erasure. Gideon whispered, "If we go there." "Captain, we may not return." Mira stared ahead. "Earth is already burning. We have nothing to lose." And behind her, her fleet said nothing, because silence was the weapon of the enemy and the Deathworlders. They weren't afraid of silence. They answered it with fire. The stars were gone. beyond the edge of known space, where no charts reached and no signals returned. The Deathworlder fleet floated in darkness. Not quiet, not peaceful, just empty. The kind of emptiness that makes your skin crawl, and the kind of silence that feels like it's watching you. Myra Thorne stood in the command dome of the Vanguard Ascendant, staring at a sky that had no stars, no planets, no light. It was like they had fallen outside of the galaxy. No up, no down, just black. "We are now inside the anomaly field," Gideon said softly. "Sensors are failing. Distance measurements are breaking down. Time is no longer stable." "Is unstable?" Mira asked, not blinking. "We've been here for 20 minutes, according to our clocks. But Earth believes we've been missing for 3 months." Roke swore under his breath. "If we stay too long, we might never get back." Mira didn't respond. Her mind was locked on the center of the dark field. One signal still echoed, faint, steady, unnatural. It didn't move. It didn't flicker. It just existed. It's like it had always been here. It's like it belonged, and they didn't. Captain Gideon said, "I have located the signal core. Visual. Negative. No object detected. Gravity distortion suggests a structure is present. Estimated size. The mass of a small moon. Shape. Unmeasurable." Mira narrowed her eyes, prepped the fire team. No scans, no images. But she would go, because something was here. Something ancient. Something wrong. And it was the only way to stop Earth from disappearing forever. Inside the dropship, Mira's team sat in silence. Roke, Lieutenant Lien, heavy gunner, Mace, and 2 Siblock guards. Each wore a black suit laced with memory armor wires and neural filters designed to block illusions and false visions. But even then, the fear sat heavy in their chests. No one knew what they were walking into. No one wanted to imagine it, in the darkness outside. The ship wasn't just black, it was hungry. As the ship moved forward, they finally saw something. Shape. Not light. Not solid. Just the outline of absence, like the idea of a building carved from forgetting. Approaching the echo shell, Gideon whispered. "Echo shell?" Roke asked. "That's what it's called in old Earth files. This is not the first time it's been found. Only the last ship never returned." Mira gripped her weapon tighter. The ship docked, the door opened, and the Deathworlders stepped into the black. Echoed inside, there were no walls, just space that somehow bent around them. Rooms appeared and disappeared as they walked. Sometimes they stepped into tunnels that turned into streets, then into forests, then into mirror halls. Each step rewrote the place. Each thought shaped it. That's when it hit Mira. This place was alive, not with breath, with memory. "The structure is responding to your presence," Gideon warned. "It's learning what you remember." Mira kept walking. We give it nothing, but it was too late. Roke froze. "I see." "What?" "My brother." He pointed ahead. They all turned, and there he was, a man who had died years ago, standing in the dark, smiling. Double quotes. "T," Mira warned. But Roke stepped forward. Just a second, the figure opened its mouth and let out a sound that shattered. Glass, not a scream, not a word, just erasure. Roke's memory log blinked, then his body twisted. He dropped, silent, eyes wide. Gideon screamed. Time lock breach. He's not dead. He's never been born. Mira dragged his body back and jabbed a memory spike into his neck. Slowly. His breathing returned. His eyes blinked, but he looked empty. "Roke," Mira whispered. He looked up. I don't know who I am." The team moved forward. One less voice, one more weight, and then they found it. At the center of the structure, beneath layers of time and shadow, was the core. It floated in the dark. A black cube, spinning slowly, humming with cold. Inside it was Earth, not a model, not a picture, the idea of Earth, and it was cracking, Captain Gideon said. "I believe this is the source." This is where the infection first touched Earth, millions of years ago. Before humanity existed, before the planet even cooled. Mira couldn't speak because now she remembered something too. A dream she'd had as a child. Of burning skies, of oceans turning black, of voices whispering, "We never meant to be born." She had thought it was just a nightmare, but maybe it was a memory, planted, hidden, and now returning. "Gideon," she said, "can we destroy it? Not physically. It's not a thing. It's an idea-collapsed thought loop. We can't kill it, but can we overwrite it? Silence. Then possibly. But we need something older, something more powerful." Mira turned to the team. "We give it the first story." Leanne blinked. "What?" "The first story Earth ever told. The oldest one. Before time, before fear." Mira reached into her pack and pulled out a drive. It held a single story. A. The first tale ever found written in the oldest Earth cave. A human stands in darkness. The darkness speaks. The human lights a fire. No weapons, no war, just defiance. She uploaded it into the core, and the cube screamed. It twisted. It resisted. But the fire of the old story began to spread. The earth inside the cube grew clearer. The cracks sealed. The whispering stopped, and Mira spoke the final words aloud. "We were not meant to die forgotten." And the structure broke. For real. Not fake memories, not illusions, just collapse. Pure and final, the Deathworlders raced out as the black echo crumbled. Time itself shook. Stars reappeared. Sound returned. The void shrank, and when they jumped back into normal space, Earth was still there. Not erased, not dead, but carred, changed. Yet real. Mira looked out over her planet from orbit. The infection had been pushed back, but something told her, hey, this was not the end. Only the first war. The first. Memory battle won. But the enemy? The one who fed on silence? It remembered, and it would come again. The Earth was safe, or so it seemed. From high orbit, Myra Thorne watched the blue planet spin slowly. Cities lit up below. Oceans shimmered. Life continued. The black echo was destroyed, the infection cut off at its source. But Myra didn't feel victory in her bones. She felt silence, not peace. The kind of silence that waits behind doors. The kind that breathes when no one's looking. Gideon whispered. Captain Earth's memory networks are stable again. But 21% of the population still reports missing time, gaps in personal history, forgotten names, dreams that don't match reality. Myra didn't answer right away. She stared at the Earth's surface, at the lights of New York rebuilt, glowing again, except she remembered it burning, not just as a vision from the black. Echo dot. She remembered the smell, the smoke, the silence after. But that never happened, did it? Myra clenched her fists. She turned to Roke, covered functional but still strange. He stood still at the weapons console, watching Earth 2. You okay? She asked. He blinked, slowly. I'm not sure, he said. I keep remembering two versions of my mother. One who died when I was young, another who didn't exist. Gideon added quietly. Cross-memory bleed, harmless for now, but widespread. Half the fleet shows signs. Mira nodded, then it's not over. The source is broken, but the echo is still inside us. That's when the new signal arrived. No origin, no. Source just a pulse, and then a voice. Not alien, not digital. Human. Familiar. You stopped the signal. But you didn't stop me. Everyone on the bridge froze. The voice came from the speakers, the walls, the air. It was the boy's voice, but deeper, older, cold. Myra stepped forward. Where are you? Where I've always been. Inside your stories. Your pain. Your myths. You burned the gate. But I never needed a door. I only need your wounds. Myra's spine stiffened. You're a memory. I beat you. No, you forgot me. So it gave me power in the first place. Suddenly, all screens on the ship flickered. They showed faces. Old faces. Every crew member saw someone different. Mothers. Fathers. Lost friends. Old enemies. The dead. Mira saw her sister, the one who died during Earth's last plague. Only now she stood there, smiling. I'm proud of you, she said softly. Mira whispered, You're not real. The face shifted, smiled wider. I never was, but I'm still here. Roke stepped back, eyes wide. Captain, it's in us. It didn't need to stay in the void. It rode back with us, Gideon confirmed. The echo is alive inside human memory. A separate strand. Not enough to destroy, but enough to grow. If left unchecked, it will become real again. Mira looked around. Her crew was strong, trained, but they were also human, and humans feel. Humans regret. Humans carry pain, and that pain was now a battlefield. Later, in the strategy dome, Mira met with Earth's highest command through secure analog relay. The president. Her eyes heavy, her voice slow, spoke first. We reviewed all mission data, which you brought back. It's not just a threat. It's a mirror. Something in the human mind created it, or invited it. It didn't just arrive. It waited. For centuries. We destroyed the gate. But it didn't need the gate. It used the very thing that makes us human, our grief. The room fell silent. Then the question came. Can it be cured? Gideon answered before Mira could. No, it can only be resisted. In the following days, Earth activated Project Vigil. Every human mind on the planet off-world on colonies was offered memory training. Story safeguards, not to erase the infection, but to protect their identity for the first time in history. Memory became part of defense. The Deathworlders were now not just soldiers. They were guardians of story, because the Echo didn't strike with bombs. It didn't destroy ships. It whispered. It rewrote. It made people forget who they were. And when people forget who they are easy to bend, easy to lose, easy to erase. One night, Mira stood alone in her quarters. She stared at a picture, her and her sister. From years ago, the real photo still existed, smile still real, but Mira couldn't remember the day. It was taken, it was fading, not because she wanted it to, because something wanted it to. She whispered, You don't get to win. And she spoke the memory out loud. She told the story to Gideon, the weather that day, the smell of the air, the song they played on the old radio. And as she spoke it, something in her mind locked. The memory became solid again. Real. The echo pulled back, and she smiled. Because now she understood. They weren't just warriors. They were rememberers. Earth had survived not because of weapons or AI or firepower. It had survived because its people could hold on to who they were, to every name, every scar, every tear they remembered, and the enemy could not survive in that. Light, Mira called her fleet, broadcast a message. To the colonies, short, sharp, final. The Black Echo is not gone. It waits in every broken story, every pain left buried, every silence. We beat it once, we'll beat it again. So remember this, we are Earth. We are Deathworlders. And we will never forget who we are. The sun rose over Earth. It lit the mountains, the oceans, and the cities still rebuilding. It shined on people walking, laughing, crying, remembering. The war was over, at least the one fought with weapons, but the battle inside their minds. That was just beginning. Captain Mira Thorne stood alone on the old world, boots planted on real soil for the first time in months. Around her, the wind moved the grass. No machines, no armor, just earth real and fragile. Behind her children played. Their laughter echoed like shields of light. The echo the enemy couldn't survive here, not in joy, not in truth spoken aloud, but Mira. Knew it wasn't truly gone. It had changed. It had learned. And it was still watching. Weeks had passed since the fleet returned from the SEL Black Echo. The infection in Earth's memory grid had been sealed, but Gideon still detected patterns old trauma, looping back in unexpected places. Entire neighborhoods in Asia reported shared dreams of cities that never existed. Farmers in Africa woke up speaking extinct languages. It wasn't spreading. Not yet, but it was waiting, Gideon gave Myra the daily report in a calm voice. 70% of Earth's population now shows stable identity markers. Memories are sinking. Project Vigil remains effective. But Captain, we found something else. Mira turned to the screen. What is it? Someone wrote a story, a child, 10 years old, on a colony near Mars. She wrote about the Echo. She described it perfectly, though she was never told about it. No access to classified data. No contact with infected subjects. Mira frowned. So how does she know? She says it came to her in a dream. The child's name was Elia. She was quiet, thoughtful, with a notebook always in her hand. Mira visited her in person. No bodyguards, no armor, just herself. Elia sat under a tree, drawing a shape. It looked like the cube from the Black Echo, but it had something new inside. Light Myra sat beside her. Why are you drawing that? The girl looked up. Her eyes were clear. I see it sometimes, but not like before. It used to scare me. Now it's smaller, like it's tired. Myra nodded. Slowly, that shape tried to make people forget who they are. Elia smiled. That's why I tell stories. When I tell one, it doesn't come back. Mira looked at the notebook. It was full of short stories, simple ones, full of laughter and loss and wonder, the kind of stories children make. And Mira realized something the infection couldn't feed where new stories were born, because the Echo only lived in old wounds. Not in hope. It was memory twisted into fear. But Earth had another kind of memory. To love, laughter, truth, courage. The kind you pass down, not to survive, but to inspire. Later that night, Mira made a decision. She climbed to the top of the global memory tower, the place where Earth now stored its protected thoughts. And she did something no Deathworlder had ever done. She recorded a message, not as a captain, but as a person. She looked straight into the lens, and she spoke. We faced a darkness older than time. Didn't come with guns or armies. It came with silence. It came with forgetting. But we didn't forget. We remembered who we were, and that saved us. The war isn't over. Truly, the Echo is still out there, waiting. But Earth knows the answer now. We tell our stories. We write them, share them, pass them on. Because when we remember who we are, when we speak our truth, nothing can erase us. We are Earth. We are Deathworlders. And this is the story that will never die. That message was broadcast to every ship, every station, every colony. It became more than words. It became a tradition. Every year. On the day the fleet returned, Earth held the Story Night, a global event where people lit fires and told stories. True ones, sad ones, funny ones, wild ones. Every voice became a flame. Every memory became a shield. And slowly, across years, the whisper of the Echo faded into the distance. It tried to return. Once, a scout ship from the outer void picked up a signal. A whisper, a fake memory. The crew paused, but they had been trained. One soldier reached into her bag and pulled out a small book. Her mother's stories. She read one aloud, and the whisper broke. Years later, Mira Thorne retired. She didn't take medals. She didn't write books. She just walked the earth, talked to people, listened to stories, smiled at children, and when asked what saved the world, not once, but forever, she gave the same answer. It wasn't strength. It wasn't fire. It wasn't fear. It was remembering.